So preparations, expectations really ramping up now. Let's get a little bit more insight into what it's like going into a big fight with Carl Froch, who joins us live right now. Carl, first of all, where are you? It looks very, very sunny behind you. You've got the sunnies on. Just tell us, what's it like where you are?
I'm in Marbella, but don't make me feel guilty. I got sunburn yesterday.
Oh, my heart bleeds for you. It really does. It really does. Look, we are building up to this huge fight. 3 days to go. And, I mean, you've been in this position before. When you see the public workouts, it really feels, you know, this is where I think the public, you can see the sense of anticipation around that ring where Kell Brook and Amir Khan were going through their paces. For you as a fighter, is that where it all becomes even more real as well?
More so at the weigh-in, but yeah, it does become more real at the public workout because you get to see your opponent if you arrive. You know, if he's on first, then you have a little look, and if he's on second, you stick around and have a cheeky look and see how he's looking. But you never give anything away. But the public workouts definitely get the juices flowing and get the adrenaline going, and you realise it's fight week, and it won't be long until you actually step through them ropes and hear that first bell.
Look, I know that Marbella isn't exactly just down the road from Manchester, but are your juices flowing? Are you excited about this one?
I really am. This is probably one of the most exciting fights since, I don't know what, maybe David Haye, Tony Bellew, because I love a grudge match. Everybody loves a grudge match. People get behind it. You go back as far as Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn, and then you fast forward a few years to myself against George Groves and the rematch at Wembley Stadium. We all know how many was there. We don't need to mention that. But the grudge matches really get everybody excited, and that's what this is. It's a genuine grudge match. And people sometimes ask, is it genuine? Do they really dislike each other? I don't know any fights in the history, even Muhammad Ali, Fraser, and all the fighters he was involved in, they didn't like each other because of the way he was. And this is genuine. Amir Khan and Kell Brook should have boxed years ago. It didn't happen because of Amir Khan. Kell Brook's annoyed about it. Amir Khan doesn't seem to know what the problem is, but these two are going to be fighting each other. And I don't like to say it, but there's going to be a lot of hatred in there, a lot of emotion.
Yeah, it does have that edge to it, doesn't it, Carl? Now, in terms of where these fighters are in their careers, I mean, they've both had around sort of 40 fights, haven't they? Probably, some would argue they're past their peak. This fight should have taken place a long time ago, but we're here now, and it's all about Saturday night. Are you expecting this to be quite a close contest?
I am, yes. Listen, these fighters are both past the peak, but that's the operative word, both. They're both past it, and so they're both evenly matched, very much so. And this fight should have happened years ago. And, some fights that should have happened years ago never happened. Myself and Joe Calzaghe, for example, I think that's a great fight that never happened. But this one's happening. And that's the reason the fans are excited and they're in for a real treat, because anybody could win this fight. For me, it's a 50-50. You're probably going to ask me to give you a prediction soon, but for me, it's 50-50.
Oh, we will ask you that, and you will give us a name one way or the other. Let's just talk a little bit about one element of this, particularly with Amir Khan. I mean, we've heard about his speed throughout his career. How does age affect that? Would you say it's a significant advantage that he holds over Kell Brook in that department?
Well, speed, I mean, they reckon the last thing to go is your punching power, and your first thing to go, your reflexes. And Amir Khan's got fast hands and quick reflexes. So they've diminished a little bit, so that'll be a disadvantage to him with the age and the fights he's been involved in. He's been knocked out a couple of times, quite badly as well. And Kell Brook took a bit of punishment. He's had his eye socket shattered against Kennedy Golovkin, and then Errol Spence. He's took 2 bad facial injuries, but they've both got the wears and tears and bumps and bruises, so they're even in that respect. To answer your question, Amir Khan's speed will be going, and that is a big disadvantage lost. And Kell Brook's timing is brilliant, but your timing is your reflexes, so that diminishes with age as well. So these two guys couldn't be better matched. It really is a pick and fight.
You mentioned the sort of psychological side of this, particularly in terms of the rivalry, the bitterness. I think that's probably the right word, right? It's bitter. It's clearly they do not like each other whatsoever. But in terms of what you go through mentally, with that in mind, just 72 hours out from a fight, what sorts of things are you trying to plug into your brain to make sure that you are just honed for the right moment, Carl?
Listen, it depends how wound up you are. If you're running on a negative emotion, which is hate, very negative, and it's not good for you in any way. And if that's going through your bloodstream, which I think it is with Kell Brook, it's not a good thing. You'll be wind up, you'll be infuriated. You're going to want to get in there and you want that bell to ring so you can start landing big shots. But you start forcing your work and you start making mistakes and walking into shots. Similar to when I boxed George Groves in the first one. I badly wanted to knock him out. I really, I don't like saying it now because me and George Groves are friends, bizarrely enough. But I hated him. I wanted to hit him in the face as hard and as often as possible, because that's boxing. And that's what Kell Brook wants to do to Amir Khan, but he needs to keep it in check. Amir Khan looks to me like he's a little bit more relaxed. He's enjoying himself a little bit more on the build-up. Maybe he's just being a bit arrogant. Maybe he's been a bit nonchalant with his responses. I watched the gloves are off the other day, and Khan did too much smiling, too much laughing for my liking. But it's just, you know, they're both diminishing with age. But I can't stress enough, this fight is an even match, and it's difficult to pick a winner.
Well, when you've got that rivalry like you have with George Groves, and you are preparing like just a couple of days out, you have that, as you mentioned, you really just wanted to hit him as hard as often as possible. But, you know, does it help focus the mind, that extra edge to it? Or is it going to be a distraction sometimes, Carl? Can it sort of tip you the wrong way?
Listen, for me, it was a massive distraction. Trying to knock out George Groves in the first fight I had, it was a massive distraction. It was terrible. It was catastrophic. I was loading up. I was showing him, telegraphing the shots that were coming. I was too eager, and it slows you down as well. You're trying to put big power on your punches. You're gritting your teeth, digging your heels into the canvas and trying to land big shots. And you get hit before your shot lands. That's what happens. Boxing is about the art of pugilism. You've got to be flowing and relaxed and calm. It's called boxing, not fighting, for a reason, because it's a boxing match. But Amir Khan, I'd say, like we said earlier, he's faster, and you would say he's maybe got a slight advantage. But don't downplay Kell Brook's ability, natural talent. I've sparred with Kell Brook, and he catches you with shots you don't see coming. He times you as you jab. He times you as you try and throw a big right hand. He's got great movement. He's a very, very skillful technician, Kell Brook. He had a bad time against Errol Spence and Gennady Golovkin, a fight that probably shouldn't have happened, the Golovkin fight, if I'm totally honest, but it did. That damaged him, but he's still far good enough to be in this match with a past his best Amir Khan. This is a great fight, like I said, evenly matched. I cannot wait. Don't ask me for a prediction, actually. I don't want to give you one.
We'll see about that, Carl Froch. We'll see about that. We've still got plenty of time here. Amir Khan, 39 fights, 34-5. Kell Brook, 42 fights, 39-3. They've both had some humbling defeats. They've had both a bit of a roller coaster. I wonder how much of a roller coaster would it be helpfully provided by the crowd as well? Because, you know, we know that Amir Khan, born and bred from Bolton, and Kell Brook from Sheffield, so you'd imagine that the Manchester-based crowd will side a little bit more with Amir. How much of a factor do you think that could be?
I think the crowd at this level for both guys, I don't think it's going to play a massive difference. It's great that we've got a crowd and it's going to be packed. I mean, it's sold out in minutes, so we're in for a real treat in terms of the atmosphere. It's going to be electric, and both fighters will feel the energy from that, and they'll feed off it, and they'll perform better because of that, because they're both seasoned professionals. Maybe slightly favour Amir Khan, but you know, a lot of people are favouring Kell Brook for this, and people will travel from Sheffield, from all over the country, to come and support Kell Brook because he's had a great career that was, you know, it was flourishing in his prime. He's a great, great fighter, but Amir Khan's obviously achieved great things. He's got a great CV. He's been in with the best of the best. So, you know, I don't think there's going to be, you're probably right, there's going to be a slight favourite crowd-wise for Amir Khan, but it ain't going to affect it, I'm sure.
We've talked a little bit about the attributes of both fighters, Amir Khan's speed, and you mentioned Kell Brook's timing. Imagine that you're one of those. Which skill set would you rather have for the task at hand? Would you rather be Amir Khan with everything he possesses? Would you rather be Kell Brook going into this fight on Saturday night?
This is a technical interview. I feel like I'm under interrogation. I like it. Right, so I'd rather be Kell Brook than Amir Khan because the timing and the ability, and I've been in with Kell Brook, which I said earlier, his ability to time shots and move his head at the right time and his footwork, it's brilliant. Amir Khan just relies on speed and work rate. Obviously, he's skillful. He won an Olympic silver medal and he was a top amateur and he's had a great professional career, albeit been knocked out a few times, but at top level. Kell Brook, I'd rather be him. I would. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, Kell Brook's my friend as well. People know that. I've got no agendas and no biasness in who I'm picking to win this. I'll just talk straight boxing. I'll tell you who I think I'm going to win, who I think's going to win. But I'd rather be Kell Brook going into this because I think the speed and the reflexes that Amir Khan holds and the fast hands, he can only probably do that for 3, 4, 5 rounds. If this fight goes past 5 or 6 rounds, I'd rather be Kell Brook with the natural ability and the timing and the footwork and the elegance in that ring. He's a fantastic talent, Kell Brook. And if Amir Khan doesn't blast him out of there, then it's going to be a fight you're just not going to know who's going to win. You're still not giving it away.
No, you see, look, wait. let me go back there and just unpack a couple of things here. So essentially what you said here, Carl, is the longer the fight goes on, the more you feel it favours Kell Brook. You know him, you know, you've been close to him. I mean, it sounds to me like you're backing Brook, right?
Listen, if I'm totally honest, I want Kell Brook to win. And I think at this stage, the way that this fight's happening, it's happened a couple of years later than we would have liked it to. I'd have made Amir Khan the favourite 4 or 5 years ago. I'm now making Kell Brook the favourite, but only slightly. And that's because he can punch. He's got a nice, powerful, tasty punch, especially at this weight. I think the fight's made at 149, a couple of pounds over the welterweight division. So I favour that punching power over the speed and footwork of Amir Khan, because I don't think he's going to be able to sustain that for 12 rounds.
Will it go the distance, Carl?
There's a strong chance it will go the distance, but I've got a feeling this fight's going to be halted mid to late. I'm thinking like the championship rounds, which is going to be round 9, 10, 11 or 12.
Love it. I feel like I've done a bit of sparring with you now, Carl. Thank you very much indeed. Enjoyed that bit of a joust and enjoy Marbella and enjoy the fight on Saturday as well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Carl Froch, live on Sky Sports News, giving us insights. He knows a rivalry, doesn't he? And fantastic intel from Carl there too. Huge night of boxing. Of course, Khan versus Kell Brook, and there's plenty more on the undercard too. Live coverage Saturday, 6 p.m, Sky Sports Box Office. Available whether you're a Sky customer or not. That includes Virgin Media, BT and Talk. For more information on all the ways to watch, simple, skysports.com/box office.